Good afternoon from Shannon Kringen in Seattle. It is May 3rd, 2025, and my voice sounds a little different. I'm having clogged up nasal cavity because of allergies to the pollen, and I'm feeling like I just wanted to check in. It's been a while since I've done a video, and I'm feeling once again trying to resist the temptation of feeling really defensive because I feel misunderstood. I feel my whole life I've had challenges with feeling like my point of view is unusual. As some of you know, I'm a left-handed and I'm an only child, and I'm on the autism spectrum, and I have synesthesia, meaning I see shapes when I hear music. And I come from a perspective of wanting to stay close to nature as a human being, and I'm not a fan of chemicals and genetically modifying everything. And I've written poems about current times called Cancel Culture Vulture Virtue Signal Soldiers, another song called Polarized Landscape, another song called, what is the third one? Oh, let me look at the names of my songs. Let's see if I can remember. Music. Goddess Kring music, a list of the songs on, let's see, Cancel Culture, Vulture, Virtue Signal Soldier, Monkey Wrench, Polarized Landscape, Cactus, Hugging Vulnerable Viking. A lot of my song lyrics and poems are about things that contradict each other. And one lady gave me a little tough love online recently, one lady that says she's intrigued and fascinated by me, but also thinks that I'm really self-involved and that my art needs to be about something. So some people that criticize me have said that my art needs to be about something instead of just myself or instead of just my weird ideas that make no sense to other people. And you could say that that kind of hurts my feelings that she doesn't understand that I have depth, that I'm into Jungian psychology. But then if I say that I'm into Jungian psychology, it makes me sound pretentious. And yet I'm fascinated by quantum physics and by the theory of relativity and the Einstein ideas and about the contradictions and the paradoxes, and also about how right now humans are kind of pitted against each other and we're into this polarized landscape. I guess I could read some of my lyrics, but I don't know if I really need to do that. Do I need to do that? Cancel culture vulture, virtue signal soldier. So I say illusion towards virtual reality, scapegoaters, freeloaders, gaslight ignites BS in flight. Lady and gents, artificial intelligence, pseudoscience, official regrets make sense, fact checkers, playing chess checkers. Reject that sniffing cat intact out the back door and store more dopamine and more. In other words, people are addicted to mainstream media. People are wanting to know what the truth is and perhaps being fooled into thinking that if they don't stay informed, not realizing they're being brainwashed and indoctrinated. So it's kind of like I'm hiding behind metaphor because if I say what I really think, I would probably get in a lot of trouble. So gaslight ignites BS in flight. So who's gaslighting who? And there's that Tori Amos song called Pancake. I'm not sure who's fooling who here as I'm watching our decay, and it kind of hints around at the events of 9/11, 2001, and about how ordering a pancake maybe might have been involved in that. But, that's like a metaphor for something else. And you could say, does she literally mean a pancake or does she mean a metaphor? And they say that autistic people tend to interpret things as literal, even if they're a metaphor. I tend to sometimes interpret things the opposite. I'm dyslexic with my autism. I interpret things as a metaphor, even if they are meant to be literal. So that's something interesting. But this person is saying, say what you really think. Well, if I say what I really think, I would be told that I was wrong, probably by a lot of very mainstream people who are into conforming. People used to question authority in a certain way, and now I feel like there are some people who think it's good to just go along with authority, even though they think they're questioning authority. They're maybe questioning one kind of authority, but they're turning a blind eye to questioning a different kind of authority. So I would say see beyond the duality of that. So I wrote another song called, so that's what cancel culture, vulture, virtue signal soldier implies. Don't get sucked into the propaganda of regular civilians being pitted against other regular civilians while we turn a blind eye to something else that's going on. There's another song called Polarized Landscape that I wrote about current polarized times. God, I need to blow my nose. Debate Escape Polarized Landscape, sponsored by fill in the blank. Stop the tape, shut the gate, jump in a cool, refreshing lake. Only two choices. That's a vice versa. That's a vice versa. Put a muffler on your voice. There's people who say if you don't like our current political system in the United States, you have to pick one side or the other side. But if you pick no side, then they say that you're a bad person because you're not. But if you just acknowledge that our system is ridiculous, it's all about raising money and basically saying one thing and doing something else when politicians say one thing and they may or may not even do that. So it's just a game. It's an absolute game, and it's mostly about raising money and about manipulating the public into certain things. And yet people think that my art is not about anything, but if anything, my art is about resisting the idea of being against policing each other's thoughts. I feel like regular civilians are now policing each other's thoughts. So deviate from conformity, state instinct intact, best solid fact. Box of souls dehumanized widely, very unsightly, divided not politely. Debate escape, polarized landscape, sponsored by fill in the blank. Stop the tape, shut the gate, jump in a cool, refreshing lake. A lot of my art, okay, discard baloney, trick out the pony, yeah, right, soured by hands, tricking lands, standing room only, prompt the teller, puppets reading, blinded by the real screen, blinded by the screen, hiding the real dream. In other words, we are being lied to in a lot of ways, in my opinion. But I'm not going to tell you, the audience, what I think that you should think. I think you should question everything and think for yourself and figure out for yourself and do your own research. And I don't believe people should shut up and trust the so-called experts. I believe people should do their own research and listen to their own intuition and listen to their own wisdom. And it's an actual radical act to stay close to nature as a human being. And I admire Amish people in a lot of ways for staying close to nature and cooperating with each other and helping each other. Although Amish people don't really appreciate individuality. So that's a part, and Amish people have some religious ideas that I probably don't agree with. But I do agree with being humble and kind and cooperative and helping each other and not focused on the rat race of technology. Puppets reading. So it's kind of like there's a lot of things that are very fake these days, and a lot of things. And then people are so stressed out, they want to think that they can trust somebody. And perhaps we can't trust anybody. So a lot of my artwork, I have a song called Only Child about being an only child. I have in San Diego and having a difficult childhood in some ways. There's a song called UFO Camera about a dream I had about UFO camera filled with oysters involving extraterrestrials, and that's a dream. Dumpster Diving Boots about throwing away my art. Ripple Effect, Banana Split, Free of Traps, New Year Revolution, Clear the Clutter, Cactus Hugging Vulnerable Viking, Swirly Girl. So a lot of my music and poems and my artwork is about staying close to nature. And I think that people think my art doesn't say anything. I mean, the people that don't like my art. And then I was told recently by an artist um, that I've known for 30 years, and she really doesn't like abstract art. And abstract art usually means it's something is supposed to be real, and then it's an abstracted version of something like a tree that's abstracted versus non-representational art, which is not supposed to be anything. And yet, I think there's rules about design in abstract, non-representational, pure abstract art versus abstracted, something real that's been abstracted versus realistic art versus surrealistic art. There's so many different kinds of art. I personally do a lot of non-representational art, but it is inspired by the topography I see when I'm in an airplane. What did I say? It's inspired by the shapes, the repeating patterns that I see in nature. I wrote like an artist statement. I redid my artist statement. Shannon Nicole Kringen creates non-representational designs inspired by her inner world and by the repeating shapes she sees in nature. She is neurodivergent and on the autism spectrum and has synesthesia, mixing the senses, seeing shapes in her mind when she hears music. Her photography and poetry also comes from this perspective. She's also created an art car named Opal Moonstone. So that's part of my artistic philosophy. And yet people think that I'm not saying anything. I think if I'm saying something, because I don't feel comfortable telling other human beings what they're supposed to think and what they're supposed to do. I don't want to boss people around, and I don't want anybody bossing me around, whether they're a regular citizen or the government or whatever authority, the pharmaceutical, medical authority. There's certain things about medicine that I do not agree with, and there's totalitarianism in medicine, and that's something I'm not happy about, but I don't want to make art that tells people what they're supposed to think. So if anything, my art, what this woman said to me online, it's reminding me to maybe that's a trap. Maybe I will never be understood by certain people. Maybe some people will never understand me. It's frustrating. Is that because I'm on the autism spectrum and I have an unusual perspective? You know, my favorite artist, Hundertwasser, he's from Austria. He was an outsider artist and he did intuitive art and inspired by nature. And he had the theory about no straight lines in nature and how everything is organic and curved and there's spiral patterns and the fractal patterns of nature, the golden proportion of nature, you know, the geometry in a seashell, all the repeating patterns in nature. But I guess my art is partly about that, about celebrating the beauty of nature and the design of nature. And my spirituality would be in touch with nature. And right now, I think there's kind of a war against nature. Even though some people say we're trying to help the planet and save the planet, I feel like there's actually some humans that are using technology in a way that is not good for nature. And that may or may not be acknowledged out in the open because that's a so-called theory that is about conspiracy. So, yeah, the jury's out on that. So, I am somebody who questions everything, whether it's a mainstream theory or an alternative theory. And my artwork is partly about being a rebel and being a wild, free-range human being. I thought about taking a stand-up comedy class, which I might still do, or I might start writing jokes about being dyslexic, autistic, and only child on the autism spectrum. Just another day at the office would be me sitting nude in front of people because I'm an art model and they draw me, paint me, photograph me, sculpt me, and I'm not wearing anything. So to me, another day at the office for Goddess Kring is to be in front of people with no clothing on, just sitting very still and staring off into space and daydreaming while they make art. So my art is always about something. I'm about being a experimental improvisational artist. What did the woman say? There's a woman online that said, and I've had comments like this before. I've had other people say, okay, I'm going to read. I know that I'm not supposed to worry about what other people think of me. I'm supposed to just do what I believe in and what I enjoy. But as a sensitive person, how can I deny? Okay, I can't find her comment. Gosh, maybe she got upset and left. I don't know, but I'm not seeing it. That is, let's see, comments. Let's see previous notifications. I'm trying to find it. I'm not seeing it. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay. This person, I won't say her name because she might not want me to do that. But okay, I asked, okay, this is my post. I said, can anyone reading this relate to my thoughts here? If not, that's fine. I'm learning to accept that a lot of my opinions are completely not relatable because I'm my own person who's completely in her own world in some ways, but sometimes people do relate to me, and sometimes I do relate to other people, but sometimes not. I realize that the reason why I love actors and I love the Val Kilmer documentary that he made about his life, even though some would criticize it and say it's pretty self-involved and narcissistic, the flip side of that interpretation is that Val Kilmer was very vulnerable in the movie, and he showed us both the positive aspects of his life and all of the sad, embarrassing, humiliating, heartbreaking times that he went through. And now he's no longer on planet Earth. So I'm really happy that he made that movie, and it's very moving and personally makes me feel less alone because there are certain aspects of Val Kilmer's personality that remind me of myself, like the sort of daydreaming, living in your own world and feeling misinterpreted at times. And yet you're having a lot of fun and feeling like life is magical at the same time. Actors in general are vulnerable and they show us their humanity, their fragile side, as well as their heroic, strong side. I think it's a noble profession. Is that what they call acting? It's like it's people who don't understand actors think they're self-involved and egotistical, and maybe some of them are, but the most beautiful thing about actors is they show us our own humanity and they reflect back to us our own humanity and how fragile and strong we are at the same time. Simultaneously, it's a paradox. So actors are both vulnerable and heroic at the same time. And that's the post that I said. And one guy said, you wouldn't be you if you weren't hard to relate to in several ways. So that's like, okay, I guess that's some honest feedback. And then a shirt I have, you laugh because I'm different. I laugh because you're all the same. Okay. Somebody relates. Okay, now this woman says to me, I think you are not as relatable because you sim you simple. She made a typing error because she said you simple, but she meant to say you simply do not relate. Babe, you and your art are great, but not rooted in anything. That's really a insulting comment, actually. Um, my art is not rooted in anything. Actually, it's quite honestly, it is rooted in something. So I think that this woman does not understand abstract art and design. It's like, okay, so do you think my art would be rooted in something if I painted realistic things or when I show photographs? Is that okay? Like a photograph of a tree, a photograph of an animal, a photograph of myself, then it's something you can relate to. Whereas if you look at shapes on a page, it's like that's my inner world. That's not nothing. That's something. And you're a woman. You have an inner life as well, but maybe not. Some people don't have much of an imagination or an inner life. So maybe this person doesn't have that. Um, we live in a terrible time now. It's not the 90s. For art's sake. It just doesn't hold when others are actually using their art for something. So that's really kind of a insulting comment. What is your art trying to say? What are you trying to say with your art? Because I'm trying to save the world with mine. So this person is trying to save the world with hers. I don't know what her art is. I don't know if are you an artist? Show me your art. Because I'm trying to save the world, blah, blah, blah. You're very artistic. I try to put something behind my visuals. Okay. So no matter what I say, this person is probably going to continue criticizing me, but I'm just pointing this out in this video. I'm just acknowledging, okay, these are some of the negative comments I get. So I'm trying to figure this out. Um, yeah, my poems are actually saying something more direct, but then again, I speak in metaphor. I speak in terms of metaphors. So my paintings are about nature, about humans being in harmony with nature, pretty much the opposite of genetically modifying everything, pretty much the opposite of trusting large pharmaceutical companies that are mostly interested in making a profit and never being wrong about anything and having no liability. But what am I supposed to do? Try to force companies to do the right thing? No. So my art is about actually rebelling against conforming. My art is partly about improvisational freedom and individuality and creativity. I actually think it is a radical act to appreciate your individuality at this point. There's a poem I wrote called Oxymorons Through the Door, a group for loners, and they all showed up because nowadays we're being encouraged to indoctrinate each other into categories and say, these are the right wing people, these are the left wing people, these are the transgender people, these are the male people, these are the female people, this is the cisgender, this is the deciding to change your gender, this is the like, what am I? I'm Caucasian and I speak English and I'm a biological female who identifies as a female and I'm a she, her. And I'm like, I think of myself as an individual more than a she, her, but hey, biologically, I'm a she, her, and I'm okay with that. I'm heterosexual, but why are we categorizing each other so much? Every single person is a totally unique individual. So these are all the things that go through my head when I receive a comment like that. But then I got a really positive comment about, um, like I'm entering in a few different art shows. I'm going to be on May 11th at a pop-up art show at the Seattle Rep Theater. I'm in a play at the Seattle Center at the end of May. Um, I am in the Kent Art Nerd Party with my art car, and then I'm in the Fremont Summer Solstice Parade, and I'm in probably actually I'm going to be in the art car blowout. I'm involved in a bunch of different projects. I'm doing music. My nose. I need to blow my nose. Um, let's see. Need original music for your movie, radio show, public event, social media posts. Kringflower Goddess Kring music is available. Search Kringflower Goddess Kring produced by Superflower and find it on Bandcamp, Amazon Music, iTunes, Apple, Interactive Jack Records, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, YouTube Music. I can also send you a CD free in the mail of our music. Also open to your ideas on getting our music out there and shared in public on the radio, at events, dance, etc. Thanks for any support you can offer. Please listen to, oh, to your music. Please listen. I did a typo. Please listen to our music. Please listen to your music. Please listen to our music. People say it's fun and unique and aesthetically pleasing. So that's something I promoted about my art. Um, let's see. Me, Shannon Kringen, the writer, working on my third book. I have 145 pages to edit. It will be poetry, song lyrics, dreams I have had while sleeping, and some essays I wrote about my life and philosophy I have about my path on earth. My first book is called Art, Identity, and the Sacred. It's a visual art book with some words on my ideas, on my artwork, being my spiritual practice, connecting me to that which is beyond myself and community, the human ecosystem. My second book is Kringonian Pizzazz, Kring Speak Poetry, and my third will be called Kring Flower Song Lyrics and Dreams. My fourth book might be a memoir about my life thus far, Amplified Chameleon, Getting Her Dreams On, Checkerboard Childhood in the Wild Livelihood. Huh. So I know that no matter what I say and do, it might be misinterpreted by somebody, and no matter what I say and do, somebody might like it, somebody might not like it, somebody might just totally not even listen to what I'm saying. Um, I just wanted to catch up with you, and somebody is encouraging me that they can play the CD during the intermission of the play that I'm in, and I'm rehearsing and memorizing the lines. And I help a lot of people by being an art model, and I serve in that way. I also earn a living. I earn a living in a bunch of interesting ways. I work with lots of different people out in the community, with artists and medical students, and I take care of pets. That's the way in which I serve other people, and the way in which I serve myself is when I come home and I do my artwork mostly by myself, and then I work with Interactive Jack Records, Dave Flowers, on making music. So why is it that I have to feel like I have to prove that I have legitimate things to say? Hmm. I find it kind of sad and upsetting that people don't understand my work, and that some people appreciate my work and some people don't. And some people don't like any kind of abstract art. They only like um, art that's obviously realistic, that's obviously a painting of a tree or a person or a bird or a flower or whatever it is, a lake, a landscape, whatever it is. I appreciate all different kinds of art, realistic art as well as surrealistic art. I love Salvador Dali. I love Yayoi Kusama. I love Van Gogh. I love some of the people that I model for that do realistic art, and some of the people I model for that abstract the figure, that do figurative work, but then they kind of abstract it and make it painterly, make it loose, make it layers of paint. Obviously, it's a human, but it's layers of paint and creating a texture. But then there's totally different kinds of work that are, like one of my designs I called Inside the Kring, and it looks almost like a map that you would see on an airplane, like the land, or Windsong spiral drive that's printed onto a mouse pad. But there's just different like curvy shapes, when you see barnacles in the ocean or sea anemones, or if you pick up a seashell on the beach and it's got this kind of spiral pattern, or the nautilus, the shell that's a nautilus that has a spiral pattern. The many repeating patterns in abalone shells. When you look up at the sky and there's white fluffy clouds and you see different shapes, a lot of people want to look for different plants and animals when they see clouds. You can also just look at the clouds and enjoy the shapes. You can look at mud puddles. You can look at the shapes in my hair, the curve, the curly hair. I have naturally curly hair, the curls in my hair. Um, when I look at tree branches, the infinite intricate patterns, the repeating patterns in tree branches. When I'm in an airplane and I look down at the ground and the topography, like I'm very much inspired. I love this sort of strong shapes that I see of mountains and rivers and land and topography. And when I look at tree bark that's peeling like eucalyptus trees, and are those called madrona trees? What are those trees called that, and birch bark, like the trees that have the bark that peels that's like red and brown colors, and just the patterns. If you walk on the beach and there's all these rocks, and then you're looking at the ocean or the Puget Sound, and there's like the waves, and like, oh, if you're at a swimming pool on a sunny day and you see all the different when the sun shines through the swimming pool water and you see all those ripply patterns, isn't that beautiful? Like when I paint my abstract art, I'm inspired by the shapes that I see in those things, like water ripples and my curly hair, tree bark, barnacles, sea anemones, fish scales. Think of all the different things in nature that have shapes. If you look at a mud puddle, if somebody throws a rock in the water and it creates like ripple, the water moves, and when you record music and you look at the sound waves of the music and you see the different sound waves going up and down like a roller coaster, and it's kind of a pattern. Like all of my paintings are kind of about the patterns in nature and how we are part of nature. Maybe we can trust nature more than we do instead of thinking we need to control nature or tell people to be afraid of nature or something like that. So I have all these different thoughts and feelings about my philosophy, but I feel like no matter what I say or do, somebody's not going to understand it. So part of me feels defensive, but maybe this person is just trying to discourage me. I wrote another song called Monkey Wrench about don't spray water on our candle if you think it's more than you can handle. So, in other words, get out of your own way, Shannon Kringen, keep doing what you believe in and don't let the naysayers get you down. But if somebody has constructive criticism that I can learn from, I'm open to that. But if somebody is just trying to discourage me, I need to make sure to be strong and keep doing what I love and not get drained by the idea that I have to be defensive and defend my right to exist as an artist who may or may not be taken seriously and may or may not be understood. And then that's part of why I want to try a little stand-up comedy, um, to take everything that I've done and maybe exaggerate it and turn it on its head and make fun of, poke fun at my own eccentric self and make light of my challenges, because I do tend to get really stressed out and angry. I get really angry and stressed and I freak out and I have what you would call autistic meltdowns. I've had some of that challenge in my life. Mostly lately, I've been doing that when I'm by myself, so it doesn't bother anybody else and cause any problems in my life. But sometimes I've embarrassed myself in front of other people, and then I've had to apologize for having autistic meltdowns. And my friends and family have mostly forgiven me, but I've also had some friendships not survive, because of my psychological challenges. And I partly live alone because in most of my life I've lived alone. I'm an only child, and I'm used to being kind of in my own space. And sometimes I feel lonely, but generally I prefer being on my own, and I need my own space, I need my own privacy, my own private space to rest and recharge and do my artwork. And my career is my modus operandi. My main thing in life is my artistic career. I mostly do my art for free and I share it with people, music, poetry, visual art, in a bunch of different art shows, do different music events and visual art events and art car events, and model for artists and work with medical students. I mean, I'm really, really, really busy and I'm really grateful, although I do need more rest and I need to find the balance between resting and working. And it would be nice if I could turn my art into, like if I could fully support myself with my art, that would be amazing. But I don't want to give up my freedom. When I think about trying to make a living with my art, then I assume I would have to change what I do to make sure it sells, and then I would lose some of my freedom. Like my Goddess Kring TV show, I did that on my own, and I published my own art identity in the Sacred Book and my own Kringonian Pizzazz poetry book. I self-published those because I'm not waiting for someone else to give me permission. I'm just going to do it on my own. I'm entering a bunch of shows. I'm entering art shows and see if they accept me or not. I'm entering ones that are free. I don't want to pay. I don't want to do ones where you have to pay to enter. I'm not doing that. So I'm doing the free shows mostly. And I might make exceptions to that, but generally I just want to try to get into shows that are free and share my art. That's why I love driving around in my art car because I can just freely drive around in public and share my art with people and talk to people. And I have a QR code for my music and my art that I share with people if they're interested. And I've gotten interviewed by Seattle Magazine and on different people's podcasts. And I'm hoping I recently was on a podcast. I recently answered an ad also to somebody looking for film and video projects. I also want to do a Goddess Kring documentary, but I'm a little overwhelmed by that. So I think I'm looking for filmmakers and videographers who want to work with me on a Goddess Kring documentary. Hollow Earth Radio, thank you for putting Goddess Kring music on your airwaves, and would love to have more of that. Would love to have KEXP play Goddess Kring Flower music. And that's all for now. I just want to sign off. But have a good day, everyone, and be yourself no matter what they say, which is this my tattoo means be yourself no matter what they say. It's the Sting song Englishman in New York. I love that. And also Damn the Torpedoes, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Camera won't focus, but whatever. That keeps me inspired. And if the water, if the frog needs to jump out of the boiling water before it's too late, that's a metaphor for current times in some ways. Um, yeah, maybe some of the message in my art, yeah, it's true. Some people just don't understand where I'm coming from at all. And um, I don't know if I'm supposed to be a better communicator or am I supposed to just let the chips fall where they may and just keep doing what I believe in and let people understand it or not understand it or completely disregard it? Um, Obviously, if you're going to be a public person doing art, you have to learn to deal with criticism in a constructive way or basically ignore the criticism and just keep doing what you love. But I would like to learn and grow and heal. I'm always open to learning, growing, and healing. That's all for now. Okay, I just wanted to share my thoughts for today. Good luck to everyone in this challenging time we live in. But I do feel like to be a creative person and stay in touch with nature as a human being is a rebellious act at this time. Because if you listen to a lot of the things being spoken about, you will be in such a state of anxiety and stress that you might be, um, what do you call it? Frozen in fear or stress or anger to the point where it's hard to feel like you're free to be creative and actually enjoy life. Not to disregard that there's a lot of pain in the world, but there always has been and there always probably will be. So on this earth right now, there's always simultaneously wonderful things happening as well as horrible things happen. And I guess we all get to decide, in my opinion, we all as individuals have the freedom to choose. Are we going to fight against what we don't like in the world? Are we going to join together with other people that we do believe in and build up what we want in the world? Are we going to live in a dream world and ignore all of it? I mean, I do think that if you're a monk in a monastery and you're meditating and you're being peaceful, that does generate energy. You could say that monks that are meditating are not helping the world, but if they were stressed out and arguing, would that be helping the world? So you could say that every single person actually has an effect on the earth. If you're a very quiet person that you're meditating in nature, who's to say that isn't having an effect on the earth and feeding into the energy of the earth? And all of us are affecting whoever we're around locally. Like I'm making this video right now, I'm choosing to spend my time and energy to record my voice, hoping that I will listen back to this monologue and I will learn something. Somebody close to me said, "Who are you talking to?" recently. They were kind of upset by one of my videos and they said, "Who are you talking to anyway?" And I remember being a little kid and having an imaginary audience. Like when I was a little kid in my bedroom, I would pretend like I had my own show and I wasn't thinking that I had imaginary friends. I was thinking that I had an imaginary audience. And when I'm in the Fremont Summer Solstice Parade and the Body Pride Ride and at the public events that I'm in where I wave at the audience, I like being on stage. I like waving at the audience. I like recording my voice into the video camera and sharing it with whoever you are. I don't know who's listening to me. I don't know who's not listening to me. I know that I listen to these videos and I'm trying to learn something about myself and about what I can do with my life. What kind of choices can I make? What kind of self-awareness do I have? You know, I'm on my path. I'm an individual, just like you're an individual. You're a totally unique individual. And I don't know what it's like to be you, and you don't know what it's like to be me. So I feel like maybe more people could speak out and express what their individuality is, and we can appreciate that instead of thinking that people must conform and join and march to some kind of meat grinder or join some kind of like solidarity. Like I believe in being cooperative with other people, but I don't want to give up my individuality and I want to cooperate with other people, but at the same time maintain a sense of individuality and a sense of that everyone is special in their own way and unique in their own way. So this is part of my modus operandi. No, that's one line in one of my poems. I go, modus operandi, no need to defend I. It's called Swirly Girl, Give It a Whirl, Find the Pearl. It's kind of about making taking the lemons that life gives you and making lemonade out of it. It's called Swirly Girl. You can look it up. I've written a lot of songs that are metaphors for current times. Swirly Girl, Cactus Hugger, Vulnerable Viking, Cancel Culture Vulture, Virtue Signal Soldiers, Polarized Landscape, songs like that. So thanks for listening. And I wrote a new song about being a figure model called Kring with No Clothes. Just another day at the office for Goddess Kring. So hopefully we're going to release that soon. So thanks for listening. Bye for now.